That's the view that greeted 6 plucky individuals who leapt off the observation deck of the 57-story Marina Bay Sands. The 6, together with one other jumper who didn't take the plunge as he was ill, were invited by the integrated resort to take part in Singapore's largest base jumping attempt and to help ring in the new year. Base jumping is an extreme sport where jumpers with parachutes leap from objects, namely buildings, antennas, spans meaning bridges, and earth or cliffs. The jumpers, who hail from the United States and Brazil and have 8,000 base jumps between them, took off at 8:30 a.m. on January 1st.
What's really nice when you're standing on the sky park, you can see the bay and you can see all the buildings. You can see all of Singapore, and Singapore is a truly beautiful city.
Jeb has more than 12 years of base jumping experience and has done over 1,000 such jumps. In 2003, the 35-year-old was one of 26 jumpers who broke the world record for the world's largest base jumping formation, leaping off from Ostankino Tower in Moscow.
Yeah, I've base jumped off the Eiffel Tower in France. I've jumped the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, the United States. I've jumped off the Petronas Towers in Malaysia. I've jumped, I flew my wingsuit under the arm of the Christ statue in Rio. I flew my wingsuit down the Matterhorn in Switzerland. I mean, my whole life is just going around the world jumping icons. And now I just got to base jump an icon in Singapore. The Marina Bay Sands is an iconic structure. And this sport's given me so much in my life. And it's so beautiful and it's so amazing. And the feeling of being able to stand on the edge of a building, step off of it and fly, I mean, it's impossible to describe it to a person. And that's what I try to do with my jumping, is I want to try to give back to everybody else. I want to entertain people, make people happy, and make people enjoy and see that, hey, human beings can fly.
The extreme sport was invented in 1978, and American Anne Halliwell was an early adopter. Can you tell me about your first base jump back in 1982?
Well, it was off a bridge. In 1982, we didn't have a lot of legal ones. It was a very quiet bridge, so it really didn't matter, and we didn't get anybody else involved. But a friend of mine was going to make a base jump, and we were just going to watch, but he didn't have any equipment. And I had my skydiving gear at that time because we didn't have base gear. My skydiving gear, and I said, well, you can borrow my parachute. So when I watched him, I pretty much watched my equipment jump off that bridge. And I went, oh my gosh, it works, So he said, do you want to do it? And we went back to his place, packed it all up. He put it on my back. He told me what to do, which took about 60 seconds. And then I launched off the bridge and the parachute worked.
The 52-year-old has been base jumping for nearly 30 years and has done 1,400 jumps. So I understand from Jeb just now that he said he didn't have a base number. Do you have a base number?
I do have a base number, but I'm a little embarrassed about it because I started in the early days and my base number is a little late. Because to get a base number, you need a building antenna span and earth. And I got the building antenna span, and for years I never got the earth. So they wrote a song about me. It said, all around the world, all around the clock, the only thing she needs, a girl needs a rock. And I'm base 222.
So how does Singapore's MBS rank against other famous structures favoured by base jumpers, like Brazil's Christ the Redeemer statue and Malaysia's Petronas Towers?
This is unlike any building I've ever jumped in my life. It's an extremely safe object because it's so overhanging, so it gives us so much space so that when we come off, there's just open air. It's an incredible structure. There's nothing like it in the world.
I believe the architect must have been a base jumper because it's perfect. It's perfect for us. And it was just very surreal being there.
Why do you say it's perfect?
It's a perfect base jump because it's got an overhang. If you look at the building, it comes out kind of to the front of it. And then if we have our parachutes don't open the direction we want them to go, and if they end up facing the object we just jumped off, on this particular building, we wouldn't hurt ourselves. We would just fly underneath and back around.
There's little margin for error once base jumpers take off, as they start from low altitudes and they have only 5 seconds of free fall at the most. In fact, the danger of the sport and the fact that jumping off buildings, towers and bridges is usually illegal means base jumping is prohibited in many places. Next up, Anne and Jeb tell RazorTV about the legality of their sport and their close shaves.